Shubhadaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutaya Srimati Bhakti Gaurani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhashati Deshatarani Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakumalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Shah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sadhu Sadhu Vainatini Josna Hare Krishna. Bilvamangala Thakur, often it is said that he is born in Kerala. So we went there nearby his place once. We didn't go to his place, exact birthplace. But it's a controversial. Some people say that he was born in Andhra Pradesh also. Anyway, whatever it is. So we all know the story that he was attached to a prostitute. Her name was Chintamani. One day she said, just to make the story short, so you are so much attached to me. Even if you would have been attached to Krishna 1,000 part of, so you would have attained Krishna like that. She just made a statement and that struck to him, and he went to Vrindavan, stayed there for many 100 years, and he is famously known as Leela Shuka. Leela Shuka. Shuka means parrot, so that parrot which recites pastimes of Krishna. And his book is very famous. Of course, modern Indians, they don't know about it. Those who know the cultural, religious, philosophical history of India, he is very well known. And you can see the number of commentaries which are written on Krishna Karnamrita is astounding. It is. As far as I know, there are not less than 20 commentaries on that. So there may be many more, actually, at least 30-40 commentaries. So in our Sampradaya also, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote a commentary on Krishna Karnamrita. So sometimes it is easy to understand Krishna Karnamrita than understanding the commentary. It's too much. Unless one is thoroughly trained in later parts of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjvala Neelamani, hardly we can even touch that commentary. This commentary by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. It is translated by Banaswami in English, but most of the people, hardly anyone can understand it actually. Means we have to study Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And anyway, same Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila. Get that board, no? That board, Kannada verses. Get some chair to keep. So in Adi Lila, 3rd chapter, he quoted a verse of Bilvamangala Thakur. We don't know whether it is from Krishna Karnamrita. Yesterday in my lecture I just told it is from Krishna Karnamrita, but the book which is published as Krishna Karnamrita within ISKCON by Banaswami, that doesn't include this verse, but it is told that it is not a complete. It's just one chapter of Krishna Karnamrita. What is published in ISKCON. And we all know Krishna Karnamrita in another way, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he went to South India, he brought 2 books. One was Krishna Karnamrita, another was Brahma Samhita. So what is published in ISKCON is not complete. It may be just 1 chapter. It has 108 verses in this, I think. It's not 8 or 10 or 13, something like that. But original, I think 238 verses are there in Krishna Karnamrita. So this must be this verse which is quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Our acharyas, they often quoted Bilvamangala, that famous verse, that Mukti Mukalitanjali Samaya Pratishta, that verse is there. That liberation waits at the door of devotee, begging for him to accept it. So that verse is often very famously quoted by our Gaudiya acharyas. Rupa Goswami quoted it again and again in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, everyone quoted it. Then this verse is one of these verses. This verse is basically that only Krishna can give love of Godhead. So it is quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Adi Leela chapter 3 text number 27. So we'll recite this. Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premado Bhavati Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premadho Bhavati Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premadho Bhavati Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premadho Bhavati Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premado Bhavati Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premado Bhavati Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha Krishna Danyako Valatasva Api Premadho Bhavati. Word to word meanings. So kindly repeat after me. Santu, let there be avataraha, incarnations, bahava, many, pankajanabhasya, of the Lord, from whose navel grows a lotus flower. Sarvata bhadraha, completely auspicious. Krishna, then Lord Krishna. Anyaha, other. Kahava, who possibly. Latasu, on the surrendered souls. Api, also. Premadaha, the bestower of love. Bhavati, is. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: there may be many all auspicious incarnations of the personality of Godhead, but who other than Lord Krishna can bestow love of God upon the surrendered souls? Purport: this quotation from the writings of Bilvamangala Thakur is found in Lagu Bhagavatamrita 1.5.37. So Krishna. So Rupa Goswami also has quoted this verse in Lagu Bhagavatamrita. I will come back to that little later. So Santvavatara Bhava Pankaja Nabhasya Sarvato Bhadraha. Let there be many avatars of Avatara Bhava. There are unlimited number of avatars. Of whose avatars? Pankajanabhasya. Pankajanabha means from whose navel a lotus flower glows. In Lagu Bhagavatamrita, where Rupa Goswami quoted this verse, that verse has a different reading than this. It says Pushkara Nabhasya actually. But the meanings are same actually. Pushkara is also lotus. And Pankaja is also lotus. So Pushkara Nabhasya it says. Just in one generation you can see the different maybe different readings. They must have referred to different manuscripts of Bilvamangala Thakur's book. Santvavatara Bhava Pankajanabhasya, or whatever, Pushkaranabhasya, Sarvato Bhadraha. We all know that there are many unlimited Bhava, unlimited number of avatars, not just 10 incarnations. Bhagavatam first canto describes 25. So like that. Then later cantos they describe many more avatars. So Santvavatara Bhava Pankajanabhasya. So Pankajanabhasya. And all these avatars Sarvato Bhadraha. They are all auspicious. What is the meaning of Sarvato Bhadraha? One meaning is that they never accept any material body. All auspicious means they are. Material body means inauspicious. It's not auspicious for the soul actually. Material world is inauspicious for the soul. Whether do you... Actually in the Vedas there is piety and impiety. So piety is considered as auspicious and impiety is considered as inauspicious. Like in India they keep writing Shubha Labh everywhere. But ultimately material world is nothing Shubha here. It's all Ashubha. Bhadraha, Abhadraha. Abhadras. Anarthas are also called as Abhadra. Radayantasto hi Abhadraha. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Why they are called as Abhadraha? Because they bind us to the material world, which is Abhadra. Sarvato Bhadra. But Krishna's forms are They are not material, therefore they are all auspicious. And this is one slap on Mayavadis also, that they say that avatars, they accept, assume a material form. How can avatara attain, means how can assume a material form and still be auspicious actually? And if they also assume material form, then how they can release us from material name forms? Often Mayavadis, they speak, this world is world of Nama Rupa. We have to go beyond all this Nama Rupa. We have to become nameless. We have to become formless. We have to become qualityless. We have to become free from all the activities, Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So this is a world of Nama Rupa. There are everywhere, names are there, forms are there. There are qualities are there. We have to go beyond them, they say. But someone who, how can he release? Same argument is made by Prabhupada in his Bhagavad Gita as it is on. Krishna says that you surrender unto me, I will deliver you. I'll make you, you will become free from Maya. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya durateya. If Lord is also subject to gunas, three modes of material nature, then how he can release us from? If he is also bound by the ropes, gunas also means ropes. So how can he release us? So all these avatars are auspicious. Here Bilvamangala Thakur, he says that all these are all auspicious. But let them be there. Let them, their auspiciousness be there. Krishna danya kova, other than Krishna. Who else can give prema do bhavati, prema, love of Godhead? Who else can give? So that means none other than Krishna can give love of Godhead. No avatars can give love of Godhead. Prema is, so another meaning of this is, means prema is possible only with Krishna. Like Sri Vaishnavas, they speak, their ultimate attainment is prapatti, self-surrender to God. Self-surrender. Rupa Goswami has discussed that. That is an anga on sadhana bhakti. He calls it as Sharanapati, he says. Sharanapati. Surrendering one's mind, one's words, and one's body, oneself. Then he gives examples. That is. But actually prema begins after surrender actually. Surrender is not the end. Actually surrender is the door to prema. Just entrance it is. You have to go inside. So we cannot have loving relation with other avatars. It's mostly like servant and master relationship. There also some love is there, definitely, but it's not so much. It's more of reverential mode. He is a supreme master and it's like more of duty. It is my duty to love him, serve him. So in this way, that kind of relationship is there. Sarva Krishna danya kova latashvapi premado bhavati. Krishna danya kova latashvapi premado bhavati, he says. Here latashu, lata means actually creepers. Prabhupada translated it as on the surrendered souls. He translates latashu, if you see the word-to-word meanings. And in the translation also, upon the surrendered souls. Lord Shri Krishna can bestow love of Godhead upon the surrendered souls. Now you see surrendered souls, I mentioned that prema begins with, after means surrender is an entrance to prema. So this is how this verse also, if you see the Prabhupada translation, that is what we get to know actually. Relation between surrender and prema. prapatti or surrender is not the ultimate goal. It is just a beginning of the, it is entrance into the ultimate goal, which is love of Godhead. So Krishna bestows love upon the surrendered souls. So Latashu, it's not literal translation here, but Latashu here basically Prabhupada as a class. He is translating. Why he is translating as surrendered souls? So Latha, creepers represent surrendered souls. That is the meaning of that. Class of devotees. Class of surrendered souls. Creepers. So we get to know from, if you see this meaning, if you take the meaning of Latha as creeper, who other than Krishna can bestow love of God even on creepers? What to speak of surrendered devotee? Even on creepers, he makes them to. He gives them love of Godhead. He makes them ecstatic in devotional service. Now, if you see description in the Shastras about different avatars, we don't find description of any other avatar than Krishna giving love of God to creepers actually. To even creepers. In Ramayana we get some glimpse that all the trees started when he left them. They started feeling separation. So one place some description comes and they started crying out of separation. But commentators, they say that it's Gaudiya Acharyas, they say that it is some general separation, it is, which it's not exactly ecstatic symptom of love. It's a symptom like, tears flowing is a symptom of a sattvika bhava, right? So there are different bhavas are there, Ashta Sattvika Bhava, are one among Vyabhichari Bhava, Sthayi Bhava, Sanchari, 4 kinds of bhavas. So Sthayi Bhava means eternal relation, those 5 relationships, they are called as Sthayi Bhava. So then there are Sanchari Bhava, then Vyabhichari Bhava, then Sattvika Bhavas. So Sattvika Bhavas are 8 in number, therefore they are called as, sometimes they are called as Ashta Sattvika Bhavas. But in Bhagavatam we see again and again how Krishna gave ecstatic love to creepers also. So this is from 29th chapter. It is mentioned there. Trailokya saubhagamidam cha niriksha rupam yadgo dvijadhruma mriga pulakanya bhibran. Your beauty makes all the 3 worlds auspicious. Indeed, even the cows, birds, trees and deer manifest the ecstatic symptoms of bodily hair standing on end when they see your beautiful form. Bhagavatam 10th canto 29th chapter 40th verse. Trailokya saubhagamidam cha niriksha rupam yadgo dvijadhruma mriga pulakanya bhiran. Here Druma means trees and creepers. So then again in 35th chapter, Pranata bhara vitapa madhudharaha prema rashtatanavo vavrushusma. As the branches of the trees and creepers bend low with the weight of abundant fruits and flowers, they rain down tears of sweet sap, while the shoots on their trunks and vines stand erect due to the ecstasy of love of God. Prema rashta word is used here. So in this way, then again, when Krishna left Vraja to Mathura, So there they glorify there. Gopyastapa kimmacharanya damushya rupam lavanya saram asamodvamananya siddham drigbi pibantyanuva anusavabhinavanam durapam ekanta dama yashaha shriya aishwarasya. What austerities must the gopis have performed? With their eyes, they always drink the nectar of Lord Krishna's palm, which is the essence of loveliness. Lavanya saram word is used here. Essence of loveliness. And is not to be equaled or surpassed. That form is the only abode of beauty, fame and opulence. It is self-perfect, ever fresh and extremely rare. So Krishna's form is described here. Now Rupa Goswami also has confirmed this, right? What are the 4 special qualities of Krishna, which are not even found in Narayana? So what are those 4 qualities? Rupa Madhuri, Venu Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, Prema Madhuri. These are 4 special qualities of Krishna which are not even found in Narayana. So one is Rupa, his beauty is very beautiful. He is so beautiful that even Mahavishnu, Narayana also get attracted to him. What to speak of Narayana, Krishna himself got attracted to him when he saw the reflection of his face in Dwaraka pastimes. It comes in 10th canto of Bhagavatam. And he saw and he was astonished, who is this personality, is so beautiful like that. He himself gets attracted to him. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya, Brahma also describes. And we have so many descriptions. That is Rupa Madhuri. Then Venu Madhuri. So many places in Bhagavatam, especially in 10th canto also many places it comes, and that particular one chapter is fully dedicated to. That is called as Venu Gita. What all happens in the universe just by the sound of Venu, that is described. Like that. When I read that first time, I felt, oh, why I was not there to hear that. Then Prabhupada later he says, you can hear the same sound by Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This sound is not different from the sound of Venu, he says. Of course, Krishna has many flutes. Sometimes, according to size, the flutes have different names. So, one is called Murali, another is called Vamshi, and one is called Venu. Three kinds of flutes he plays. So, their sizes are different, and accordingly, names are different. Then, that is Venu Madhuri. Then, Leela Madhuri. He performs wonderful activities, pastimes, which no other avatara can do. We were discussing about Rama's avatara. So among all the avatars, Rama's avatara comes close to Krishna. Rupa Goswami in Laghu Bhagavatamritam, he explained that Narsimha and Rama are close to Krishna. In other words, Narsimha and Rama exhibit more opulences than other avatara, and they are very close to Krishna. So like that he says. So one chapter he dedicates for describing these 3 forms in Laghu Bhagavatam. Para-avastha and Swayam Bhagavan. That chapter is called as Para-avastha forms. These 3 forms in Padma Purana, they are called as Para-avastha forms. Krishna, Rama and Narsimha. So Rupa Goswami made a chapter on that in Laghu Bhagavatamritam. Para-avastha forms and Swayam Bhagavan, like that. So first he explains Krishna also has part of these Para-avastha forms, and later again Swayam Bhagavan. Some extra explanation about Krishna because he is the original form. Anyway, coming back to the point of Leela Madhuri, he performs wonderful pastimes with his associates. Then, and especially among pastimes, Rasalila is well known. And it is such a beautiful pastime that even Lakshmi Devi wants to take part in that. And she could not take part. She did lot of tapasya to take part in that, but she was still never attained eligibility to enter into it. You can see that. That itself shows that how Krishna's pastimes are superior to Narayana. So Mahaprabhu jokingly joked with Venkadabhatta and he said that why your Lakshmi, she is Pativrata Shiromani, she leaves her husband Narayana and comes to Krishna, he said. He questioned him. Then Venkadabhatta says, what's wrong? He is the same personality. Then Mahaprabhu quoted another verse. First he quotes one verse to support that she left Narayana and came to Krishna, or came to take part in Rasalila. Then he tells another verse saying, I think it is from 16th chapter of 10th canto, prayers by Nagapatnis. They say that what kind of pious activity this envious snake, Kaliya, has done that he got dust of your lotus feet. But Lakshmi Devi, even Lakshmi Devi performs tapasya to achieve those lotus feet, like that. They prayed. Then again later in 47th chapter, I think in Brahmara Gita or Uddhava's message to that, that is Brahmara Gita only, that chapter, it comes that she did not get permission to take part in Rasalila, like that. She could not leave her mood of opulence. Anyway, so these are Krishna's pastimes. Even Lakshmi Devi wants to take part, leave Narayana and take part in these pastimes. That is Leela Madhuri. So then there is Prema Madhuri. What is Prema Madhuri? So he is surrounded by loving devotees. Prema Madhuri means. So he gives prema to them and he is surrounded by loving devotees. So coward boys are fighting with him. They are loving Krishna as friend. They don't know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They just love him. He is our friend. That's all. So in the play they defeat him and they make him to carry them on his shoulders. Can you imagine someone climbing on Lord Narayana? So why is that in Krishna's pastimes the devotees are able to climb on? Because of this love, actually, this prema. That prema increases the intimacy between devotees and Lord, actually. That intimacy what makes them to perform such pastimes. That intimacy. So what is that which makes difference between these rasas, actually? As we progress from Dasya to Sakya, Sakya to Vatsalya, Vatsalya to Madhurya, the intimacy goes on increasing. So that intimacy makes them to perform such activity, leelas. And when Krishna is, holding that Govardhan on the small finger of his left hand, so coward boys, they say, oh, Krishna could lift because we supported with our sticks, they say. Otherwise he would have not. I think they said that when still Krishna was holding, then Krishna, to make them realize, he just took his, they were also holding with their stick, just to make them realize that he is actually holding. He just took his finger little down, hand a little down, and then they could understand, realize that. But anyway, again he makes them to forget and they think that, okay, we helped Krishna. He is our friend. So like that. So that intimacy makes them to forget that He is Supreme Lord. They forget that they forget His opulences, His potencies, His position, and all these things. So basically Krishna is the one who bestows prema. There is no other. Prema is the wealth of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, actually, are devotees of Krishna in Braja. Actually it is, that verse is there about Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. It is said that, what is that verse? Swarasiki Siddhi, that verse. Forgetting anyway. So prema, love of Godhead, is the wealth of devotees of Vrindavan. Now why I am speaking this verse? This verse is a tatastha lakshana of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being non-different from Krishna, actually. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, why he is quoting this verse in the 3rd chapter of Adi Leela? He is presenting this as a evidence for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be Krishna, actually. Because he bestows love of Godhead to other living. If only Krishna can give love of Godhead, then Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be Krishna himself. Of course, he presented it in a little, this is implicit in that. He presented this verse, quoted this verse as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna went back to Goloka. After going back to Goloka, he thought that I went to this earth, Prithvi or Bhumi, and in my Bhauma Vrindavan I performed my pastimes with my intimate associates, Vrajavasis, my transcendental loving exchanges. I relished them, but I did not distribute this love of Godhead to others. So therefore I should come and distribute. And particularly by my example I have to teach everyone how to love Krishna. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami quoted verses from Bhagavad Gita, Yad yada charati sreshtas tatad, 3rd chapter also. That by his own example he teaches Dharma. And then he quoted this verse also. So because only Krishna can give prema, so therefore he appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from this what we understand, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. So what is, I mentioned Tatastha Lakshana. Lakshana, what is the meaning of Lakshana means? Lakshate jnayate neti lakshanam. Lakshana means characterizing, lakshate, and knowing. And basically, a thing which is known by its characters are the symptoms. So in anything you define in Sanskrit writings, so they define it by these lakshanas. And there are two kinds of lakshanas. One is Swarupa Lakshana and another is Tatastha Lakshana. And Swarupa Lakshana means intrinsic characteristic. And Tatastha Lakshana means it is not intrinsic but it will manifest later. So for example, Rupa Goswami defines bhakti. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadena-vratam alukullena krishnanu shilanam bhaktirottama. In this there are both intrinsic characteristics and Tatastha, how you use extremes, marginal characteristics, whatever. So Primary, secondary, yeah, that can be also. Secondary characteristics, yes. Swarupa Lakshana and Tata. Which are Swarupa Lakshana and which are Tatastha Lakshana in this verse of Bhakti? Basically, he is defining Bhakti, no? So, whenever you define a thing, you have to give these both kinds of Lakshanas. Actually. That is how things are defined in Sanskrit. Who will tell which are Tatastha Lakshana?
Second part is the primary characteristics.
What is that? What are those?
Krishna Anukulyena Krishna.
It should be favorable to Krishna. And it should be engaging senses. Anushilanam. Krishna Anushilanam. That is primary characteristics. Then when these primary characteristics are there, automatically secondary characteristics will manifest. What are those secondary? Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam. That will automatically, initially you may not be anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam, etc. So, but when we engage in devotional service, automatically we become free from all material desires. So, they are secondary characteristics. Like sometimes there are 26 qualities of Vaishnava are described. So, the main quality is Krishnaika Sharanam. Then other qualities will manifest later. So, sometimes we teach people about qualities, developing good qualities, sadgunas. But the main thing is devotional service. If that is there, automatically other qualities will develop. So like that. Now, when we are identifying an avatara, what are the primary characteristics and what are the Swarupa Lakshanas and what are the secondary characteristics? First, what are the characteristics symptoms to identify avatara? Prabhupada, how many he in his writing, in his teachings, he gave many symptoms, no? Of 5 or 6. What are those? It should be mentioned in the Shastra. That is one. Then it should show. He should show the universal form. Then
bodily marks.
He should have those bodily marks. Bodily means then marks on his souls actually.
Should have a special mission.
He should have a special mission. Then
should show superhuman activities.
He should show superhuman activities. Finished? How many are over? 5 are over.
5 or 6 are 5.
Which ones are Swarupa Lakshana and which one is Tatastha Lakshana? Tell.
Swarupa Lakshana is notice. Perform superhuman acts.
He should perform superhuman activities. That is Swarupa Lakshana.
Predicted in the Shastra.
Yeah. Shastra is the Swarupa Lakshana. He should be mentioned in the Shastra. That is our main identifying factor actually. Then other things. So like that. So this evidence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being Krishna, which is this? Swarupa Lakshana or Tatastha Lakshana it is? Tatastha Lakshana. How?
Because he gave prema later. Can see.
He gave prema later, he gave.
In his past tense it is.
And generally means we are identifying. There is no mention of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here directly, right or not? Where is the name Chaitanya here? You tell me. There is no name Chaitanya here. Therefore, it is a Tatastha Lakshana. It is by his behavior, his activities, his pastimes, we are understanding that yes, he is Krishna. Why? Because he is giving love of Godhead. That's why it is Tatastha Lakshana. Mostly identifying, when devotees identify avatara based on his activities and all, they all come under in Tatastha Lakshana, basically. So then Rupa Goswami, he composed the verse Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvise Namo Namaha. You are most munificent avatara. Namo Mahavadanyaya. Audarya avatara it is. Audarya. Very magnanimous. Audharya rasa. Apart from 5 rasas, our Acharya has described Audharya also. Apart from. So magnanimity he exhibited, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why you see that? Namo Mahavadanyaya. Why he is Namo Mahavadanyaya? Next word is what? Krishna Prema Pradayate. He gives love of God. And who is he? Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya. He is Krishna, but he has assumed the name of Krishna Chaitanya. Krishna Chaitanya. His sannyas name was Krishna Chaitanya. Chaitanya is actually, it is given to any brahmacharis. It's a name of brahmacharis. There are names of sannyasis. Tirtha Maharaj, Giri Maharaj, Van Maharaj. Tirtha means one who resides in holy places. Giri means one who resides in mountains. Vana means one who resides in forests. These are different names of sannyasis. Parvat Maharaj is also there. So Parvata, Bharati, Saraswati. So Keshav Bharati, he took sannyas from, that is called as Bharati Sampradaya. So there is Tirtha Sampradaya, there is Bharati Sampradaya, there is Giri Sampradaya, there is. So like that. Anyway, he took and he preferred to keep his brahmachari name Krishna Chaitanya. Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Gauratvise Namaha. Tvisha means you all know, color, complexion. He has one who has a complexion of gold, Gaura, yellow color, or Pita. So in this way, Bilvamangala Thakur, he appeared long before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. He was in 13th century. That is what it is told. We don't know. It may be even. So I generally don't believe in all these dates given in the Wikipedia especially. This Wikipedia is heavily controlled by Western academia especially. So they don't accept traditional. Like for example, Alvars, they were 5,000 years back. They say it is just 1,200, 300 years back they were there actually. So you all have to be, nowadays it's all, internet is the pramana. For anything, go to internet. You have to be careful what you are taking from internet actually. Internet is not Guru Sadhu Shastra, you understand? But anyway, he was long before. This verse indicates Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because even Krishna, he did not widely distribute love of Godhead actually. So okay, he gave it to those who were in Braja. more than giving, he just enjoyed with them himself actually, for his own pleasure. So, but widely distribution was done by Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why he is Krishna who bestows love of Godhead. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna who bestows love of Godhead. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions, comments?
Lord takes material form. So we say that means we counter argue saying that if Lord takes material form, then he is under the influence of material nature. How taking a material form necessarily makes one under the influence of material nature? Lord accepts a devotional service from devotee in form made of wood, stone.
Good question. Not silly question. No, that is this is a simplified version of what actually Mayavadis say actually. That is, Mayavad is still more. This is a simplistic Mayavadi idea. It is what we are saying is means we are translating it into a common person's what is scholarly, very highly sophisticated presentation of Mayavad. We are translating it in a simplified version. That's why this kind of questions come into our mind. So they give that is basically comes from that theory of Vivarta means so Brahman becomes influenced by illusions, by another term is there. What is that? I'm forgetting one term they use that. But anyway, that Vivartavad is what is actually the original idea behind that. So he becomes influenced by illusion or ignorance. So that is the question. Our question is, how can he become influenced by ignorance? So like that. And he appears as this material world. And because of that ignorance only he manifests as material world and different living entities. And they assume material form. Similarly, avatars are also, they are at most, they will again, what they will do is, now then, okay, if avatars are also just like living entities, Brahman coming under the influence of ignorance, then the question should come, then why we are worshipping them? Why Vedas are telling worship Rama? And all these people actually. That question comes, no? Right or not? So then they will bring up the idea of Saguna Brahma. And then there is Nirguna Brahma. Nirguna Brahma is the original condition. And then he becomes Saguna Brahma. Yeah, Badita word which I was telling. Badita means Maya Badita. Being influenced by Maya actually. So that word they use. So the same Nirguna Brahma, he becomes Saguna Brahma. So what Vedas are telling to to worship you, they are all Saguna Brahma, like that he will say, they will say. So in this way they will make some distinction between. So, and sometimes they will say, okay, what is, if we take knowledge from Krishna, if Krishna is also like ordinary living entities assuming material form, then we argue that what's the point in studying Bhagavad Gita and hearing knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, how it is going to help us if he is also conditioned soul. Then they will say that he is a liberated soul. After liberation, he is giving the knowledge, he is realization, like that they will say. So that is called as Vyavaharikavada. So then that is also refuted in 2.12 if you read. So Prabhupada says, why then Krishna says I? He is making distinction about himself also. Then he quotes that verse, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitana. So he is making his identity separate than all others. You kings and Arjuna, like that. You and all other kings. I, you and all other kings. So then he quotes to support that idea, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. He is the best among all the eternal living beings. And all the conscious beings. Upanishads only later. To make the distinction between him and Jivas. Clear? There may be still some doubt, right? Then you have to go thoroughly what is actually Mayavad is. You have to technically understand that. So what we are discussing, it is in a very simplistic idea of Mayavad. Not technical it is. But it essentially it is. This is what their argument is. So they say, actually they complain when we say that, this is not Shankara's philosophy. They say, I am God, he is God, everyone is God. Is not actually Shankara's philosophy. So they say because of translating that original Sanskrit into so many other languages, you people are making mistake of what is actually Shankara's idea. But then it ultimately it boils down to that only, that I am God, you are God, right? Oneness means what it is actually. Advaita means what? It ultimately boils down to that only. We are all God, like that. They never say that we are all God. They say they speak about Ekatmavad. There is only one Atma, like that they say. But then when we translate it, we say, okay, he is God, he is God. But this is simplistic. But then ultimately essence is that only. So they have such arguments. We say it is Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate, Mayavadam Ashashastram. What is that verse? So Prachannam Bauddham Uchyate. So Mayavada is not a Prachanna Bauddha. Bauddhavada is Prachanna Vedavada, like that they will say actually. But you take either way, it is the same thing, right? Covered Buddhism. Mayavad is a covered Buddhism. It is Buddhism only, but in a new form or something. So they say Mayavad is that, no, we are not covered Buddhism. Buddhists are covered Vedavadis. Whether you take that or this is the same thing, right? Then Hare Krishna.